Look, in this video, I want to cover off something that I really am passionate about. All the technologies that we have as a solo founder or GTM operator, what really matters is your plays, is your strategies to get there, your tactics, right? So in this video, I want to cover off my 5 top sort of plays that you should be considering in your go-to-market GTM plays. Okay, so I'm gonna go through these, not in a particular order, but I'll rank them 1 to 5. These are my 5 ones that I really like. And by the way, this I just built in Claude and asked them to create a web interactive version. Anyway, so let's start with some of the top 5 of my personal ones I actually use, right? So I'm just telling you what I actually use. First is this is a classic, closed loss re-engagement. Now, as you build your business, you're going to find you're not going to win every deal. There might be just timing issue, maybe a competitor, maybe there's an org change. It's happened to me so many times, org changes, especially enterprise, B2B. And that actually, delays things and it results in a closed loss. However, there is excellent play around this as well that you can actually automate to grab those opportunities back in due course, and you can create triggers around this, or signal triggers to know when to do this. So this play number 1, close loss re-engagement, is basically you look at your deals in your CRM. If you don't have a CRM, your spreadsheet is fine, depending on where if you're solo. But like you've seen a couple of other videos, build a CRM, go into AI Studio, Google AI Studio, and build your own CRMs. You can do that. So set up an enrichment monitoring. Now, what I say this is that you want to engage them if they've lost for any reasons, and you can analyze, lost because of product fit, lost because of timing. Make sure you have your reasons. That's why a CRM is really ideal. You can capture those reasons and feed it into a monitoring or workflow or agent or automation or whatever you want to call it. I've used Clay to do a lot of this. So I extract this from a CRM and input it into Clay and ask it to, in my example, what that I'd use is I was interested in finding out if there were any growth indicators, there might be raised a funding. So that's what I use to re-engage, because, and especially when I mapped out those that said there is a budget issue. So I went back to, one-to-one, right? So if somebody said it's a budget issue, look for signals in your re-engagement around funding. If there's an org change, well, look for leadership changes. Run an automation. Now you can use, like I said, Clay signals. Upload your list of closed loss, and filter them by tag them if you want them. Tag them by lost reasons, and then align signals to that. So, let's recap again. If a closed loss account said it's org change, then look at any changes to leadership or new roles posted that would signify that there's an opportunity for the re-engagement. If this is it's the wrong timing, for example, then look at funding. If they raise funding. In my example, I found a lot of they're raising additional funds. So anyway, so you don't have to go overboard. Just track 1 or 2 signals and then use that as your re-engagement trigger. Kind of the stacks that you're looking for, like I said, growth signals, budget refresh. I just covered this off, right? Surge in new hires, meaning they need support. There could be an opportunity for you to go outreach. And original contract who, maybe there's the person who left, so you can re-engage that person, find that person or re-engage, find out why, get intel. So 1 signal, keep watch. 2 signals, draft and send a review. You can send them a review. Hey, this is what I've done. You can offer them something. Which is the best way. Give them an offer. In my example that I use, we give them a sort of an audit, free audit. It's been a while. Would you like an audit of an AI or automation? Okay, so like I said, in terms of timing, this is a really kind of low maintenance, low effort. Like I said, you could just use Clay and your CRM to extract that. But there's other ways you can tap into, right? So I've got some toolings for you. You can send notifications to your Slack team, to your sales team. And Clay offers that, right? So you can actually select the model you want to do, but you can do it in Clay to some extent as well. You can set up schedules and so forth. You can do that instantly. Just outreach again. If you're not using a CRM or some sort that has a sales component like Salesforce or HubSpot, then you might use an outreach like instantly. You can use, if you're a solo founder, you can use your Gmail. There's nothing around that. That's number one, right? I want to play number one is closed, lost, re-engagement. The last thing I was just going to add to this is, and I said it here, you don't want to be too generic, right? It's not like you got a calendar based reminder, hey, follow this closed account in 1 year or 12 months or whatever. No. I'm talking about like really meaningful, value add, insightful check-ins, right? Like I said, and that's where you can use a lot of these signal stacks to get you there. Okay, now next one, signal. By the way, this one is like past losses. Next one is new logos, new business. Okay, so this is really interesting, and I've talked about it in Clay a lot as well. And there's other tools you can use. There's many tools that you can use that does something similar. So for example, if I go here, there's you can use simple, and it's pretty much similar to, if I go back to the home page, it's pretty much similar to Clay. And if you go here, they actually do a comparison with Clay as well. Let me see, there's somewhere here comparison. So very similar, like there's enrichment, but what's interesting is here that they have this ability to break down the org chart. So this is super important when you're doing an account mapping, right? So so there's a whole bunch of sort of turnkey solutions that you can do this in Clay, but it gets more timely. You use little credits to get there, and for a price, like it probably is sufficient, or even go for a free for just you got 500 credits a month. Okay, by the way, I'm not sponsored by these. I'm just showing you what I use and what I advocate. Okay, so signal based. So this is interesting. One of our work, we just launched a new service offering, and this is sort of an AI practice that provides advice, strategy, and automation of companies. And so what kind of triggers were going to be useful for them? So this is really, the whole idea of this one is really replacing what should I do this week, and trying to automate as much as possible. And so one of the campaigns, and this was around, well, if they're selling AI practice, would it be good to monitor any new hires, especially senior hires in an AI practice? Maybe there was a practice lead for AI. Then maybe there's a director of AI and data. These are kind of signals for this service. So, but you look at your service and see how you should, what kind of signals are most important to tap into that align to that business, if that makes sense. Like I said, if in this example it's a service-led company that has a new AI practice, is selling AI automation and consulting and execution. And so what do you want to do is essentially that is find any hires of any new hires that have been recently in the last 3 months in the AI space for those accounts you're targeting. In this example, what I used is, I used Clay because I have license for this, and but what I did is I just uploaded our target list, and now it's going to monitor target list for the AI practice, right? So it's going to monitor any times there's a hire. Now, again, you can add more than one signal, right? I would limit to 30-day window. And then from there, what's good about Clay and other services similar, you can enrich that quickly, right? So because if they're hiring, then you can then say, if they're hiring, say a head of AI practice. I don't know, just okay. And then you're targeting. Then you go, okay, who's this person sort of reporting to? What are the founders? What are the CEO details? This is where something like this comes in handy as well, right? Go back to what I was talking about here. This account mapping out or visibility, because then you can find out who the founder CEO is in order for you to do an outreach because they've hired. Okay, so this is quite simple in a way. So again, it's a similar, is it hiring, surges, changes in leadership, maybe they've raised, covered raise already, maybe there's a new partnership, maybe they've launched a new product. And again, depending on your business value proposition, depending on your startup, signals is a great way to pinpoint a one-to-one match. You want to have a signal value proposition match, right? If I'm selling AI consulting services, then my signal match would be something like companies on my target list hiring AI leadership roles. That's what it is. So in terms of setup, again, it's not that hard. Depending on what you're using, the more manual, of course, you're looking at the more 6 hours or plus. But if you're using something already built, half built, like a Clay or Simple there, then again, you need a CRM to connect to, so you can actually know you've engaged, and you can do the follow-ups and so forth. But you can run a campaign across Outbound, LinkedIn. Outbound is in Instantly and so forth. And you have to craft your messages. You can use Claude or ChatGPT or Gemini, whatever you use. So email and some type of enrichment signal finder, and then your email to do the outreach. This is for, again, new person, okay, new prospects. Last thing on this, and again I covered here, what's interesting about Signal, it's like a micro campaign. Okay, it's very triggered campaign. It's called a Signal triggered campaign, because it only exists in that time that it's tracking, and it's so high intent. So these campaigns don't exist yesterday. It wouldn't be applicable in 3 weeks' times. It's exactly the point. That's the point, that these campaigns, signal-based, have a life expectancy, and they trigger off. That's what's the most important. So you don't have to. That's the way you should. There's a mental model you should look at it. Okay. Next one, my play 3. And this is again classic and user gem, whereas this is for those who have a SaaS product. And user gem is a great example of a solution that does this a lot. Basically, you're trying to find champions or hand raisers, monitor your past customers, if they've changed. When a move is detected, automatically check in with that new company and say, hey, I get this a lot. When I've moved into new roles, I get other people just that selling marketing sort of agency services checking into me. That's pretty, so there's no rocket science, but it's a great play. It's a great play because those people that change jobs want to make a difference in their new role. That's the thing. They want to make a difference in the new role, and so you offering a service that aligns to that and accelerates that, you're in good company. So again, past contacts, new business matches, that matches your ISP. So you look at that. You can, again, Clay can do this. You can look at new changes and upload your list, see if they've changed. News announcements for roles that have appointed. So you can go backtrack. So okay, they're going to hire. But the most important is that job change alone is not enough to trigger. You need to make sure that you have an open role priority, reach out. Basically, you want to be there as quick as possible too, because I would say, I said here 24 outreach within 40 hours. I think a month, 2 months in their role is probably a better. I'm thinking about it, because you want them to settle, do the induction, for them to learn at least 3 months, before 3 months. Why is that? Because if you think about their 30, 60, 90-day plan, they're probably in their just end of the 30-day. They've got an idea of what they want to do, and that's when they start looking, which is a challenge. So, but that's where you can, in your signal stack, you might specify a change within 3 months, and no more than 3 months, no less than 2 months, because that's a prime time where they're going to be receptive to new services offerings that will accelerate their role in their company to make a difference. Again, this is it's not complex at all, depending on what you use. It's definitely not complex. Again, you can use Clay or other similar services. You can do it manually. I mean, you can go to LinkedIn and it will be a nightmare. But like I said, this all depends on the timing setup. Is all depending on how much investment you have in your marketing tooling stack. But it's a really great one. This is especially for SaaS product-led growth companies, where and you can use things like NewsGem and looking at. I mean, this could be a really good one as well if you had a user in your SaaS product that was a champion, right? And then they change jobs. You can actually offer that service again, because most likely those who champions, if you're in, I don't know, if you're a software engineer, head of, you're typically going to go into a senior role in another role, but similar domain, right, in terms of your expertise. So that's why it's a great low-hanging fruit. Change jobs, a new account opener. Okay, number 4. So this one is, again, you can use a lot of tooling for this. This is going to be a lot of tooling. And really trying to look at your visitors to your site, because that shows high intent. In HubSpot in particularly, okay, I use HubSpot, but there's other services that you can use. In HubSpot, it tells you, and then HubSpot keeps on launching new things like buyer intent and so forth, buyer signal, that actually tells you people are visiting to your site and what pages they're visiting. You can actually filter by in CRM or not in CRM, because you might say, I want to have, target those who are new to my brand. So that messaging will be slightly different to someone who's actually in your CRM but, hasn't engaged. Again, same thing, someone visited, you're going to want to identify them, do a personal outreach, meaning that if they visited certain pages, you want to actually tailor that, right? If they visited a certain pricing page, that's a high intent, and explain how you compare. If they did visit your pricing, you might like to say how your pricing compares to your competitor, for example. And that's your email outreach. High intent patterns, you can put in criteria if they visited more than 3 times at a certain pages in a certain week. As I mentioned, pricing pages, and they might download a case study. Again, showing you high intent. With the signal stack, your website is the most important stack in this. And then sort of having some triggers around your pages. Again, HubSpot does a really great way. You can automate that whole funnel, where if they visit certain pages, it can trigger off emails coming from you automatically. Like I said, if they visited a product page or features page, you can maybe want to do a comparison between your feature set versus a competitor in your outreach email. It's going to be, look, the whole idea is to make it meaningful as well, to that, sorry, not meaningful, more insightful, no, meaningful, but useful. That's the word I was looking for, useful. Again, you set a rule, your stack, 3 visits, and then trigger away. Yeah. The most important, I'll leave you with this high inbound intent, is contractualizing the outreach, right? You want to bring in context that that's the same context they're in. So if they're visiting a certain page of your site, news case, or special news case they downloaded, then you want to contextualize that in your email, because it makes a super email and super personal. But also, in a way, it's like you actually prepare something. It's not automated, because it becomes so personalized in a way, ironically. Okay, I think that's it. So inbounds, right? So last one, when you have your meeting, would it be cool to automate this, where they come, they come to your meeting, ending the calendar trigger, so by automation that summarizes, takes the transcript. If you're recording you can use Loom, for example, to make it very simple and cheap. to record your, you should be recording your customer calls or prospect calls to learn anyway. So basically, after a meeting, you can create a trigger that takes out the transcripts, summarizes it in notes, and probably even actionable insights to share quickly. And it's a great way to follow up. This is also important for you to learn what, after post meeting. You'd be surprised how much insights you get from the recording that helps you increases your re-engagement in the future and learning. Free outputs generate like a personal follow-up, your updates. So this is all part of the automation, right? You do the follow-up, updates your CRM, because it's so critical to update your CRM. Constantly sales teams forget that, and that impacts the data integrity and your reporting, so you can't make sense out of that. And then you start not relying on your CRM to extract. And then the last thing with this is that you can actually put in your prompt next best action to recommend, something that they probably will, and you can again enrich with their records. Hey, by the way, following on a meeting, here's a top 10 or 5 things we talked about, or here's the actions. By the way, you can use a clay or similar to enrich and provide insights to their company that they weren't aware of. The best intelligence meeting is something that they finished the meeting, they gained something that they didn't have before, or an understanding of their own business they didn't have before. Okay, and so the follow-up. So there's a follow-up, there's update, and best actions. They're sort of the generated outputs. Again, CRM. You can use. There's various meeting notes that you can use. I can add in Loom. I like Loom. Granada is a good one. Outer and Firefly. Some of them are free, for a few. I think time out at certain times. Like if you do for more than an hour. This is also all of them are pretty. Again, the build effort all depends on how much you have this already. If you have a lot of this, and I don't think you probably need some type of automation like N8N or Zapier or Make to enable this. Now, this is particularly important if you have a lot of meetings. If you're a SaaS sales team, so mid-market, we have a lot of sales coming through or meetings, and you want to automate things quickly, right? But if you're an enterprise, you might have maybe 1-2 meetings a week or more, or less, 3 meetings or less, and because you don't need this sort of automation. This is more for those SaaS companies that offer a B2C, B2C maybe, but B2B, but mid-market. So sort of lower. This is a lower average deal size. Okay. To automate this, because if you're selling something for $1,000 or less, and you have a lot of customers coming in or prospects, then something like this is ideal for your sales team. The last thing, this is building good hygiene in your data and the sales engagement. So the experience of the sales team provides with follow-ups within a few hours, and removes any of those things that sales team tend to delay around updating their steps, the OS operating system of how they go about engaging prospects, following up prospects, and so forth. Okay, well, there we are. They're my five AI native, and I'll say AI because you're using some type of AI to automate these GTM plays for your solo founder or GTM operators. This really is around creating some type of predictable pipeline without hiring SDRs. Not that there's anything wrong with that, or agencies, nothing wrong with that, or marketing team. Again, nothing wrong with that. But if you're a solo founder, you want to learn as much as possible to build some of this, know what works, and then these plays will be your next phase of scaling these. You're scaling these plays, but you know what works. You know the channels that work, that give you a return on your investment. Okay, that was a lot. Oof. Catch you in the next video. Bye. Subscribe and like if you like it.